This week in Physics Twist.
Starting off with something positive, the UN has warned of biological annihilation as the sixth extinction event unfolds on Earth.
Continuing the biological annihilation theme, fossils have been discovered from the very day of the asteroid impact that killed off the dinosaurs.
A weird snake with a third eye has been discovered that can presumably see into the future.
And we take a look back in the past in what year is it?
What year is it?
What year is it?
G'day, Quill.
Hello, Duncan.
How are we?
I'm great. How are you?
You ready to, I'm okay now, but I think we're about to get really deep and
I know.
sad.
I feel like it's going to get sad.
Yeah, because the theme of this week's episode is biological annihilation.
Wow. Such
Yay.
a positive way to begin the day. Awesome.
Yeah, because last time we were staring into the void, weren't we?
We
With
were.
the black hole thing. But, that was kind of an amazing thing.
And now we're staring into the void of, like, the end.
Yeah, exactly. Of certain destruction.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So can you tell me about this sixth extinction crisis?
I can.
That seems to be going on.
Yeah. Okay, so basically, the UN has warned of biological annihilation, which basically means it's kind of what we call the sixth extinction event happening on our planet.
Yep.
And this has been researched by like over 150 researchers in over 50 different countries around the world. So the trend of this biological annihilation is basically hitting global fauna on multiple fronts. Hotter oceans, deforestation, climate change, and this is driving animal populations down at an unprecedented scale.
Unprecedented.
Yeah.
So I think is this basically like a meta-analysis of lots of different studies? I think that's what it is. Basically.
Yeah, it's so basically looking at heaps of different studies that have been done all over the world, kind of putting them all together and going, oh dear, we're in a bit of a pickle.
We are in a bit of a pickle because the number of species that came up with that was, facing extinction at some point within the next not few years, but
in the
decades,
next kind of time frame.
is 1 million.
Yeah.
I believe.
Which
1
is
million species.
Ludicrous.
It is, completely insane. This is not something to be happy about.
Yeah.
Like,
so so this report is basically showing us that basically we've assessed the biodiversity and the ecosystems, and it basically tells us it's been working on it since 2005, and really it's telling us, we've got so many species that are threatened by extinction. We've got species that are already lost. We've got species that are, really, really endangered, and this is just happening more and more.
More and more.
It's very, very scary.
So we knew it was bad, but we
did.
didn't know it was this bad.
Yeah.
So I think they said it was like 40% of all insect species right now are in the process of decline.
Yep.
And it's decreasing by something like 2.5%.
Per year.
Is it a year?
Yeah. And everyone goes, cool, less insects, like no bugs on your table and whatnot. But,
let's get rid of mosquitoes.
Yeah,
I mean,
great.
we've probably made that joke a bunch of times.
Probably.
Yeah.
But we're forgetting what an important part of the kind of the cycle of the earth that they are. And that's the problem. Like we go, well, insects, whatever. But, insects make up a huge amount of the mass on Earth.
Biomass,
Biomass. And they have a huge importance in so many of the biological life cycles that are going on. And we don't even know how important they are.
Yeah,
we do, but...
I mean, the obvious one I think that people talk about is they'll say, the mosquitoes would get eaten by other creatures, and then other creatures eat those creatures, and that's that's the food chain, right?
Yeah.
But it's far more complicated than that.
Oh,
and when you're just talking about bees,
right? Bees
pollinate flowers, and then it just grows and grows and grows from there.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, we already know about the fact that bees are kind of stuffed, but this is going to be far grander than that.
It is. Yeah, and this big problem is that we're kind of like, everyone kind of knows it's a problem. But everyone's kind of just like, oh yeah, we'll deal with it later. There's a point where we can't deal with things later.
Yeah, exactly. And this
is later.
That's one of the things that they were, exactly. It's already later.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that they really stressed in this report that I saw, is they were saying, look, it's happening in a couple of decades, but that's really, really soon.
Yeah.
Like it's really, because we already knew about climate change back in, I think, the 70s.
Yeah. Long time.
I think it was, because again, we don't want to get sued, but it was one of the major oil companies that back in the 70s was boasting about the fact that the amount of oil that they produced in a day could melt like 6 glaciers or something like that.
Yeah, wow.
They had already.
That's horrendous.
They were both. There was an ad. Oh. It's crazy. So they already knew about the possible effects that it could have.
Yeah.
That's going back quite a long way, and now we're several decades into that, and we still haven't really done anything.
No. Yeah, so things are scary, right? So a lot of the models that we've got are showing that basically, depending on how much the climate change changes our overall temperatures, it's going to depend on how many of our species we continue to lose and that kind of thing. So what's really scary is that most of these models are based on like a change of kind of 2 degrees Celsius. But we're like on target to change by like 3 to 4 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, that was what one of the people who wrote the report said.
Yeah.
I think Watson something.
Yeah. Which is super scary because it's already looking like total annihilation based on 2 degrees, but we're actually like basically moving towards 4 degrees, which is like twice as bad.
Yeah. I mean, we already talked about how when it reaches, what was the number? Something like 7 or 8 that all of the clouds would disappear. Do you remember how we talked about that a few months ago?
Cloud episode.
Yeah. The clouds would disappear, and then it's this sort of deadly cycle where it just heats up beyond imagine.
That's right.
Which is insane. So at the moment, I think we're at about 0.7 to 1 degree.
Yes.
But then with the amount of warming, like basically the path that we're on now, we're going to go to 3.5. And they were saying that 1% of those species will survive if we get to 2 degrees.
Yeah. It's crazy. So once we get 2 degrees Celsius warmer, we're only going to have like 1% of the species of insects left.
Yeah.
Which is ludicrous. So
totally. It's kind of worth stressing that I think a lot of people don't understand this, is that if the climate keeps warming on the scale that it is, the thing is the Earth will be fine. It'll continue to be the Earth, and some species will evolve.
Yeah.
And life will go on.
Yeah.
But not in the way that we know it now.
No, exactly.
So the fact that humans are, creating this change in climate means it's rapidly accelerating the destruction of these species. And it's like, okay, fine. Humans might be fine, maybe. But the species that exist right now are going to decline like you'll never see. And some new ones will arise because that's what evolution does.
Yeah.
But, life as we know it now will completely change.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I wanted to raise about one of the authors of the study, I'm not sure which one, he actually said that I think in order to sell this idea that we really need to stem the tide of climate change as it is now, is that you actually need to sell to the idea that sell to people the idea that their lives will be affected. Because they just go, oh, the forest in Amazon, oh no,
whatever.
What doesn't affect me.
Yeah.
But it will.
Yeah.
It will, because it affects the global food chain.
I mean, we're talking like Mad Max, like, people fighting over water and resources, like, crazy stuff. So
that's already started, by the way.
People not need to stop being like, oh, this is like, climate is just a hippie. Like, hippies care about climate change.
Yeah, exactly.
People need to be like, okay, I'm a human. There's no point in me having children and setting aside money for their future if their future is like literally paying $4,000 for a litre of water because there's nothing left. So people need to actually recognise it's not just hippies that care about climate change. It needs to be everyone, because it's going to affect our everyday way of life, and it's ridiculous.
So food production.
Health.
Yeah, human health, living in polluted environments
Exactly.
suck, quite frankly. Just everything.
Energy.
So we just need to basically tell to people, look, it's not a hippie thing. It's like, you will be affected.
Yeah.
So
it's a science thing.
I don't want to be around when that happens, quite frankly.
If you're a scientist and a hippie.
Yeah, like you are.
Double trouble. Exactly. You're just like stressing. I was saying to Duncan this morning, I heard this on the news. Oh, I know, it's just like talking to our listeners. How I told you this morning that I heard this on the news and I had to just turn it down. It was too early in the morning for me to listen and contemplate it at that time of day.
Yeah.
I just couldn't.
Whereas I heard it on the radio and I was like, turn it up.
Yeah. Look, pre 6 a.m. I can't deal with mass annihilation. I'm sorry. Maybe after 8 or something.
I was listening to our dear friends at AB 702.
Oh, friends of the podcast?
And they're friends of the podcast. And they were putting it. Actually, they didn't put a comedic spin on it at all. They were just like,
it's really not funny.
Very similar way to how we did it. They were just like, well, we got some really terrible news for you this morning, which is all life on Earth will end.
Deary me.
Yeah,
all right, well, let's move on to a Well, this is more about annihilation, but this one's already happened, so it's not so pessimistic.
Exactly. So we've just been talking about the 6th mass extinction event on Earth. So I thought we'd just take a look back at the 5th mass extinction that happened on Earth.
Awesome. What was that?
Which was, I think you'll
Pokemon?
remember.
I don't know. I told you I was feeling silly today.
It was 66 million years ago.
Of course.
That one.
Pokemon.
Yeah, that's right. Pikachu, I miss you. Anyway, so it was...
Dinosaurs.
The extinction of the dinosaurs. And this news came out about a month ago, but I really only just saw it, and I was really excited about it, so I thought we'd talk about it now.
Cool.
Which is that a whole jumble of fish and trees and ammonites have been found, fossilized, from the day that the asteroid that killed all the dinosaurs hit the Earth.
Cool.
Which is wild.
That
it
is pretty
absolutely
cool.
wild. Found in North Dakota. And because apparently that area was massively affected by the tsunamis. We're like, yeah, they are tsunamis, I guess. Seismic waves, I think is the correct term.
Sure.
That came about from the Chicxulub crater. Chicxulub being a town in Mexico, sort of the Gulf of Mexico area, that is the town that's closest to the very center of where that asteroid actually hit.
Yeah.
So what happened is, all these fish and trees and ammonites and that sort of thing, they all get swept up by this huge seismic wave that came about as a result of that, and then swept inland into North Dakota. Somehow then got fossilized, and they all got jumbled up. I've heard about how certain fish were like wrapped around trees. That's how like the force of the tsunami was so insane. Yeah, absolutely massive. So I just thought that was really cool. Being able to see actual evidence from the very day that the dinosaurs became extinct, that kicked off the process of extermination of the dinosaurs, would be absolutely insane. Really interesting thing about this is that they looked at these fossilized fish and found these tiny little droplets of glass in their gills.
Cool.
The name for these pieces of glass is Tectites.
Okay. And what is a Tectite?
A Tectite is a feature that comes about as a result of a large asteroid strike. So lots of asteroid strikes have happened in the past. One thing that you'll commonly see is these things called Tectites. What they are is something called ejecta. What that means is like bits of the Earth that got shot up into the sky when the asteroid actually when the asteroid actually hit. What happens is, because the force is so insane, or Earth turns into sort of molten rock. Cool. It gets shot up into the air. Sometimes actually, like it's so powerful, it actually reaches space, and the gravity of the Earth pulls it back down. And as it's falling, it cools down, and because, basically this molten rock would then turn into glass, some of it, and it would reach terminal velocity, something like 200 miles per hour. Was that 300 kilometers an hour-ish? And it then begins to strike the Earth. And so if you were a dinosaur at that time, you probably would have been pummeled by extremely hot, very fast-moving pieces of glass.
It's raining hot glass. Wow. At super speed.
Super speed, yeah.
Wow.
Exactly. And if you were a fish, it would basically go into the water, it would absolutely just surround you, and you'd have to basically breathe it in. And so that's why they found it in all of the gills.
Little droplets of hot hectic glass.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing they found with all these fossil fish is they found a layer on top of them of something called iridium. And iridium is a metal that is really quite rare on Earth. But it is found in asteroids.
Yes.
So that is what basically told geologists that the likely cause of the extermination of the dinosaurs was an asteroid.
Yeah, it's a big kind of clue that's what happened.
Big geological marker, because at that 66 million years ago sort of line, geologically, you see something called a KT boundary, and the KT boundary has lots of iridium in it.
Wow.
Super, super cool.
Very interesting.
But what I wanted to talk about more was...
we digress.
going away from this actual fossil find, the scale of the asteroid hit was insane.
Yes.
So this is an asteroid that was, I think it was about 15 kilometers wide.
Did you do the conversion for me?
Oh, no.
Oh,
15 kilometers wide. That's 150 football fields.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah, because it's about 10 football fields per kilometre. They're about 100 metres long.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. Good work, Duncan.
Thanks, mate.
On the fly calculations.
So it's 150 football fields long, going 20 kilometres per second, which is about 20 times as fast as like a bullet.
Yep.
And that would release about 1 billion times more energy than the atomic bombs the atomic bomb that hit Hiroshima.
Wow.
And 1 million times bigger than the largest nuclear bomb ever.
Whoa.
And what happened is like that asteroid burrowed into the ground and shot up all this stuff. So for miles and miles and miles and miles around, that would have absolutely obliterated everything.
Yeah, of course.
In its path. But the other thing was that when all that raining glass came down, it effectively heated up the atmosphere. And it heated up the atmosphere so much that it turned the Earth's atmosphere into a sort of oven.
Oh.
Yeah. And it would have heated up to 50 degrees. And you go, oh, hot dang.
That's hot.
It's hot. I'm a hot boy.
And we're like talking we're not talking like it's a real oven hot, but like if you're talking like it's a 50-degree day, that's a hot day.
That's a hot day.
Yeah,
that's like the hottest day you've ever experienced in your life. But then 70, 80 degrees, 100 degrees.
Really?
200 degrees. 500 degrees.
What?
1,000 degrees. 1,200 degrees.
Like just hanging out on Earth.
The entire atmosphere would have turned red.
Whoa.
Because it's so hot. And
that's crazy.
That would have happened within about 40 minutes to an hour of the actual impact.
Oh wow!
And any animal that was outside, which is most of them, because they don't build houses.
Don't have houses.
So what I really mean by is if they're not like in a cave or they're underground or underwater, they would have been absolutely cooked all around the world.
Yeah.
Okay, which meant that all dinosaurs, non-avian dinosaurs. Were completely exterminated.
Wow.
Within a couple of hours
of this happening. That's really cool.
No one knows this because everyone thinks that, it happened over the course of 10,000 years or so because of the effect, like the huge climate change, and the cooling of Earth that happened because of all the soot. Yeah. Which is also correct, right? But
how can that be also correct if they were all annihilated at the start?
Well, I mean, I say correct in that it also happened.
Okay.
Right? So, for example, any plants that would have survived, they would have died as a result of the lack of photosynthesis. Yeah. Because there's so much like dirt in the sky.
Okay, that's crazy.
But yeah, the main cause of killing the dinosaurs would have, they all would have been gone. Almost all life on Earth, completely gone within a couple of hours of that asteroid.
And I feel like if it's 1,200 degrees, even the ones in a cave or underwater, I mean, water boils at 100 degrees.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how that works, but that's what I read in the article. Would have been that, let's say that you were, maybe it's like the upper part of the atmosphere would have been really hot, whereas if you were like down quite far beneath the sea, you would have been okay.
So still way, way hotter, but maybe not like literally like boiling the entire ocean.
Yeah, not the entire thing. So that's why anything, it's crazy. Yeah. Anything that was over about 25 kilogram mark, absolutely cooked. The only dinosaur relatives that survived were some sea turtles and crocodiles.
So water things.
Isn't that great?
That is
I only
crazy.
learned about that recently.
No, I didn't realise it was
from an episode of Radio Lab, friends of the podcast.
We wish.
Yeah, definitely. Chad Abermurrow, if you're listening.
Thanks, Duncan. Yeah, say you know. Awesome.
But it's crazy. And so finding out about that kind of led me into looking into different fossil-related stories. And then I found this one about how there's an actual fossil that you can find from the very day that it happened.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then, I just got so excited.
That's very exciting. Awesome.
So, tell your friends.
I will. I also might need to adjust how I teach dinosaurs a little bit.
Yeah, right?
Because I think I thought what I was teaching was correct, but I don't think I realised that.
That was kind of why I wanted to raise this, right? Because everyone seems to think that, they threw a lot of soot into the atmosphere and, given that it was cold, that killed dinosaurs and stopped photosynthesis, so they couldn't eat on plant matter, and that gradually killed them over the course of about 10,000 years. But the real truth in it is that vast majority of dinosaurs would have died within a couple of hours of that asteroid impact world over.
Crazy.
Insane. Cool.
All right, well...
Shall we move on to...
Yeah, let's move on.
A slightly, I wouldn't say happier story.
Oh, this is pretty happy.
You reckon it's happy?
Because it reminds me of The Simpsons.
Totally. I wouldn't say it's happy. I'd say it's very...
Cool.
Deeply, deeply weird. Do you want to kick it off?
Yeah, kick it off.
No, I said, do you want to kick it off?
Oh. All right, so, wait for it. Now, a three-eyed snake has been found near Darwin, in Northern Territory, and it was found by rangers, a part of the Northern Territory Parks and Wildlife Services, and they've shared their photos on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a carpet python.
Yep.
Has 3 eyes.
3 eyes.
And these normally grow between...
How many eyes do carpet python... Just let me stop you there, I'm sorry. How many do they usually have?
Well, it depends.
Whether they have 2 or 3.
I was going to make a joke, but then I couldn't think of anything. I was trying to think of a snake joke. Anyway.
They usually have 2.
Typically, they're standard snake, unless it's like a battler. It's always razzle and dazzling. Might only have 1 or none. Usually they have 2 eyes, and they usually grow between 2 to 4 meters. And it's pretty common in Australia, Indonesia, Papua New Guinea, kind of this kind of area. So the 3-eyed one that was found was just a baby, and it wasn't really much older than about 3 months.
Okay, so not very big.
Just a little one. And they called him Monty.
Monty Python?
Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Obviously.
That's pretty... I think that's a really common python name. Everyone's like, I called him Monty for Monty Python.
Yeah. My sister-in-law has a sausage dog, and its name's Sizzle.
Nice.
Which I love. But I've also met some other sausage dogs called Sizzle.
Or also. Democracy.
Democracy Sizzle?
Democracy sausage. Yeah, when you get your snag when you go to vote.
Yeah, all right, we digress again. Okay, so Monty the Python unfortunately has passed away, but they did have a look at his body, and he had not just like this, like someone didn't glue a googly eye on.
Yeah.
It's a legit eye.
You know, they do the X-ray and they're like, hold on a second, that's a googly eye.
It's got this googly eye on.
It just comes off.
Okay, so it wasn't a googly eye.
Hundreds of scientists.
It could have been googly, but it was legit. It was a real eye, and it was a cranial malformation. So basically, which is pretty interesting. So it actually not only was just like an eye that was like poking out the hole of the second eyeball or something.
Yeah.
It had its own eyeball hole.
Basically, like in the middle of its snake forehead. Sort of thing. Do snakes have foreheads?
I guess so. So it had an extra eye socket on its snakeal cranium.
Snakeal cranium?
And, yeah. So,
Quill's a biologist, everyone. Can you tell?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And it wasn't that it had, so they have found similar things in the past, but they were basically 2 heads that had fused together.
Yeah, I've seen 2-headed snakes before.
2-headed snakes.
Yeah.
Not just a mythical thing, but legitimate things.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this one was just a normal skull with an extra eye socket. And so it had the extra eye socket.
And it looks, hot take everyone, looks pretty weird.
It does look pretty weird. And I like that you said that it can see into the future.
Yeah, I'm just imagining, a snake that's really in touch with its like chakras or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, use your third eye, man.
I feel like as soon as I saw this, I was like, oh, it's like the fish out of The Simpsons.
Yes,
the
exactly.
3-eyed fish.
Yeah, so maybe this is a result of like nuclear waste.
Maybe. We could be on something.
Darwin. I think we need to do some investigative journalism here, folks.
We might need a work trip to Darwin.
I think we might, yeah. Ironically, it is, was discovered near Darwin, named for Charles Darwin,
Evolution.
father of evolution, right there.
What a
so
beautiful
this
link.
is a whole new species of snake that's now seeing into the future. And, oh my God, this is just like Back to the Future when they get the almanac.
And
Except
now,
you can just maybe you can rub the snake's belly and then ask it who won the election.
wait, maybe because we're losing other species, the snake's like a new species.
Yeah, right. Oh my God.
It can see,
is it worth it?
It's see into maybe the extra eye allows it to cool down faster with climate change.
That doesn't make any sense.
I know. Do you know I once woke up and there was like a carpet python like across my neck?
What?
I grew up on a farm, remember?
That's horrible.
It was pretty scary.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
It was a big one too.
How many eyes did it have?
I don't remember looking. I remember just legitimately jumping up and running.
Yep.
And
I bet
hiding.
you did.
Anyway.
Yeah, so...
That's pretty cool.
I just want to be able to, rub its belly.
And
who won the Ashes in 2020 or something,
Ask for a wish.
Yeah.
Well... Yeah, so, I mean, that's like the silver lining maybe to this mass annihilation is we're getting new species with extra eyeballs.
All of which can see into the future.
Yeah.
And maybe they're
grim.
Here to warn us. And they'll say, climate change is bad, man.
Well, we know that, though. We don't need a 3-eyed snake to tell us that.
Well,
it's like the 3-eyed raven off Game of Thrones.
See, I haven't seen that.
Okay, well, we better not say anything else. People might get cranky.
Spoilers, yeah seriously. What season is that from?
Oh, he's in every season.
Yeah.
Anyway.
3-eyed snake would have been better. Come on, George R.R. Martin.
Cool.
Yeah. It's not very on brand, though, is it?
No. Okay.
Anyway, so there's your three-eyed snake. That's our hot take on it. Mm-hmm. And anything else to add?
No, not about the snake, but I feel like some things have been happening at this time of year.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Maybe this week?
This week.
In the past?
In the past.
In science?
In science.
What do you call that segment?
We call it, what year is it?
What year is it?
What year is it, Dad?
Graham, what year is it?
This
Anyway,
used to be all orange groves as far as the eye can see. Okay.
Should we do that what year is it segment? This is the segment where we look at the things that happened in science in the past years. And I do it in a funny voice. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. I'll try not to laugh
Let's
as much
start
this
up the
time.
old-timey jazz. I'll put on my transatlantic accent. And go. 1824, the skeleton of... Let me try again.
Not counted.
And go. 1824, the skeleton of a mammoth was found in England at Ilford, near Bow, in Essex. It was said to be the same species as those which had previously been found in Siberia and all over Europe. 1832, the US government passed an act authorizing the first vaccination program to protect Native Americans against smallpox and allotted $12,000 to pay doctors $6 a day for their services. 1899, Bayer induced aspirin, the pain relief and anti-inflammatory drug, in powder form. It had been discovered by a company researcher, Felix Hoffmann, on the 10th of August 1897, and the companies had spent their 2 years researching its safety. How am I doing?
Good.
Good. 1930, Amy Johnson left Croydon on the first solo flight by a woman between England deserts and Australia, a distance of 11,000 miles. She flew a single-engine de Havilland gypsy moth named Jason and landed in Darwin. That's the second time we've heard from Darwin today. On the 24th of May. Just as an aside, she was actually trying to beat the previous record for that flight.
Yep.
Missed it by 3 days.
That's a shame.
Yeah. So that's
Should've
how long
left
it
earlier.
took, like 2 weeks to fly from... Should have left earlier. No, I don't think you understand the premise.
I get it.
Should have gone faster.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway. 1937, at 7:25 p.m., the dirigible, the Hindenburg, burned while landing at the Naval Air Station at Lakehurst, New Jersey. On board were 61 crew and 36 passengers. 36 people died. Oh, the humanity! Should probably leave that bit out.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. 1961. America's first astronaut in space, Alan Bartlett Shepard Jr., made a 15-minute suborbital flight that reached an altitude of 115 miles, during which he experienced about 5 minutes of weightlessness.
How lovely.
The world's first human in space flight was Yuri Gagarin, a Russian cosmonaut launched into orbit less than 1 month earlier, on the 12th of April 1961. There you have it. That is, what year is it?
What year is it?
Do you want to have a go at some of those?
No. I can't do it. I feel it. I know what's going to happen. I'm going to, with no prep, I'm going to just be mimicking the voice you do, and it's going to sound ridiculous. Because I have my own old lady character.
Yeah.
And her name...
You've got your own character.
Yeah.
What's her character? What's her name?
Ethel.
Ethel.
Yeah.
Do you want to give us a sample?
I have two, actually.
Okay.
But
Yep.
Moira is Jewish and probably inappropriate.
Do it. I want to hear it.
No, she doesn't really have words. She just says, "Oi,"
Oi.
a lot. And I can't. Who knows?
Quit schwitzing me.
I think, as I said, all my old lady voices are really slow, and
Okay.
it's going to be too boring.
All right. Well, there you have it. That was, what year is it? Shall we... Well, do you have anything to add, Quill? No. Shall we
I think that's a wrap.
wrap that one up?
Yep.
Well, thank you for listening to Fizzics TWIST. That was particularly silly near the end there.
Yes, that's okay, though.
Started off really dark,
Yeah,
got progressively lighter,
Yeah.
weirder,
Celia.
and then silly.
Yeah, that's a good way to end.
That's
We
a-
started down,
That's a
ended high.
great trajectory.
Yeah.
You always end strong. I've always said that.
Yeah, great. So thank you for joining us.
Yeah. We'll be back soon.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.